Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone. I am Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation and Talk Radio. A big shout out to my producer today, Emily. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Erica. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I cannot believe it is September. Time is flying by, and it's, Labor Day. So happy Labor Day for all you folks out there listening live. So today's episode is titled From Burnout to Blueprint, The Power of Smart Systems. After walking away from a stable career in education, my guest found herself searching for clarity, balance, and a new way forward. Pamela King and I will discuss how building simple systems helped navigate a major life shift, stay focused when motivation wavered, and eventually built a business that supports other people doing the same. Listeners, whether you are navigating a career change, running a business, or simply craving less chaos in your daily lives, Pamela's insight offer both encouragement and practical tools to create calm out of the overwhelming. So I want to give you just a little bit of information about my guest, and I'm excited to have her on. I've known her since December of 2022, and I'll get into that first encounter with her at that time. But Pamela King is a small business optimizer who helps scrappy solopreneurs stop winging it and start building a simple system that actually works. With a background in education and over 4 years of streamlining businesses, she brings clarity, calm, and a little humor to the chaos of entrepreneurship. And I would say she brings a lot of humor. So welcome to the show, Pam. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much. I'm fangirling. It's so fun to be here. I'm a major fan. And of course, I enjoy our personal connection as well.
Yes. So we met December of 2022, right? On a small oversized fishing boat in the middle of Mexico. And to say we had an adventure that over that next 10 days was, I think, maybe an oversimplification.
Yeah. We booked with a women's travel company. So all of us were solo travelers. Nobody had any prior knowledge of anybody. We all just came with open hearts and, the willingness to have an adventurous spirit. So, we'll always have our swimming with whale sharks and a million other amazing adventures.
Absolutely. And we had so much fun. We continue the little adventures over the next couple years and years to come. So definitely, if you guys ever have a chance to go out and do an adventure, even if you don't know anybody, do it, because chances are you're going to meet somebody that has some sort of interest because you're both on the same trip, and you never know, you might make lifelong friends. So, but I want to just jump right in because this is so exciting on what you do, and I love it. And during the first segment, we're going to discuss the finding what you're meant to do, even if it's the non-traditional path. And I think, why don't you tell your story on, I know I gave a little bit of it, but tell your story and how that turned into what you're doing today.
Certainly. So I was a public school, high school history teacher for 15 years. When I was in middle school, decided I was going to be a teacher, and nobody really kind of encouraged me to examine anything outside of that. They thought, oh, you'd be a good fit. Teaching's a good profession that would let you have a family and all those kinds of things. So that was the path I was on. I went to college, got my degree, and started teaching, got a job immediately. And as the years went by, I had that little voice that was like, what if this isn't it? What if there's more? What if there's other things? And as much as I loved education, truly every day was like groundhogs. I ate lunch at 11:13. There was a bell, it was so predictable. And so at first I never thought I'd be brave enough to really leave, but I kind of started just saving money. And at the time, I just thought it was a rainy day fund. I would have never said, oh, this is so I can quit my job. That was too big, too brave. But it was very comforting to me, especially when I was, not feeling great and not being like, how can I do this till I'm 65? I always had that like sort of secret parachute in the back of my mind of, we've got that money. I also had a friend who was a real estate agent, and she was working with a business coach, and her coach told her it was time to start bringing on an assistant, hosting client appreciation events. And she was overwhelmed. It was all she could do to keep her head above water with her day-to-day existing tasks as the realtor, as a single mom. I didn't think anything of it. I truly just thought I was helping out a friend, and I offered to come work for her during summer break. And it was just so natural where my teacher brain clicked in, and I started documenting things and creating checklists and templates and daily, weekly, monthly task lists. That way, when the summer ended and it was time to me to go to back to school, it was so easy for her to slot somebody in because this beautiful framework existed. She and I continued to work together. We've added additional frameworks and supports. She's now managing a team where she has 3 sub-agents, and they routinely hit the Keller Williams Platinum designation, which is the highest award for sales every year. So people kept asking her, what was your secret? What did she do? And she so kindly passed my name along. So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, well, I can help you with that. Well, yeah, I can help with that. And enough times, you kind of think, well, maybe there's something to this. You listen to that draw, they say, anxiety screams, intuition whispers. And I think that's
Yes.
so powerful. I'm sure you've seen that too, because that screaming voice of, you can't do that, or that's not a sure thing, or you wouldn't be as safe, or, it's, what if this goes bad? That's not your intuition. That's that anxiety voice. That's that imposter syndrome voice. But that smaller, where you're feeling that draw, where you just follow that thread, that's that intuition. And I picked up a real estate license thinking, okay, well, maybe this is my move. I'm going to help. That was too much. I don't like how flexible you have to be as a realtor. You get that call. Can you get us in to see this house at noon? I was like, I was going to cut the grass. I haven't showered yet today. Like, that wasn't the right move for me. But you listen and you follow and you say, like, it's kind of like that game when you're little, like warmer, cooler, cold. Like, that's how it felt. So as I followed that intuition and that feeling, and the thing I loved the most was helping people build frameworks and systems that I think there's visionaries and I think there's implementers. And I really enjoy being the implementer who helps somebody with the big audacious goal. If that's what you want to do, how can we break this down? How can we make this so it's sustainable, so that it works, so that way you get to free up your time and do the stuff that lights you up instead of spending all your time chasing down invoices or rewriting proposals from scratch or whatever it would be.
Yes. And I love that, because you think about it, you start something out potentially when you're 18, right? You're like, I think this is what I want to do. You start getting some education for it. You get the general requirements, and then you get your degree requirements, and then you change as a person. I always think when people say, oh, you've changed, I'm like, I sure the heck hope so. I hope I'm not the same person I was at 18 or at 25 or at 40. I hope I'm a different person. I hope I've gotten better. I hope I've learned from things I've done correctly and things I've done incorrectly. And why wouldn't your path change? I think. And for anybody who's out there thinking, well, I went to school for this, so I have to stay in this career field or this trade or whatever it might be, you can change your mind at anytime you need to, anytime you feel it's not serving you or keeping you happy and sustained and fulfilled, you can. You can listen to that inner GPS, that gut, that intuition telling you that it's time to evolve, time to change, and it's never too late for that.
Absolutely. That's it everything is learnable and skills are transferable. So, yes, I have a degree in education and that's very specific, but my ability to communicate, my ability to break things down in a way that's understandable, the ability to take a big goal and make it into smaller pieces, that was part of education, but it is very easy to slot those skills into what I'm doing now and also a million other things too. So I think that's it is we can again that imposter, that fear tells us, well, this is all you're qualified for, this is all you know. But that's way too limiting. There's so many people, and I think they said there's like a statistic like your degree is obsolete in like 7 years anyway. Like a person with a marketing degree from 10 years ago, marketing's totally different.
Exactly, exactly. And you learn as you go. A lot of times and because you learn what works for you and what doesn't. I always say that in coaching. These are tools for your tool belt. They may not always work and be the right one for that job, but you can try to work around that and see what do I have? What can I make this, and how can I put this into action? And you can. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about systems and how they are for everyone. But before we go, Pam, tell folks how they can connect with you. And also, you have a little something for our lucky listeners.
I do. Well, that's it. I do love systems and they are for everyone. So I am on Instagram at Pamela King Consulting, or I'm on LinkedIn. I believe the link will be in the show notes. I have a 5-day time audit where people can track their time. You can use that on your own to analyze and try and find those sneaky time thieves. Because, how often do we say, where did the day go? It happens to us all the time. Or if you'd like, I'd love to do a 30-minute consultation, complimentary, where I'll help you kind of look at that and analyze and see where our time sometimes, gets spent that we aren't even realizing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Pamela King. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about systems, which are so sexy, right?
Yes. I mean, during our first segment, listeners learned about how you went about finding what you're meant to do, even if the path was non-traditional, and great tips for our listeners to listen to that tug, listen to that whisper. And during this segment, we're talking about the sexy systems. So why do people think that systems aren't for them, even if they're a solopreneur, as opposed to like a big business or corporation, that sort of thing?
Certainly. I think it's so easy that anytime we hit a wall, we go, it's me, I'm lazy, I'm not disciplined enough, I can never stick with anything. And I just think that's not true. We think of systems, usually it is a business that takes the time to kind of, you got to go slow to go fast. And in our personal lives, especially as, busy people, the things that really are a personal foundation are often what gets skipped, right? If the calendar gets jammed, the first thing to do is we're going to skip our workout. We're gonna, or, oh, well, I'll just get takeout rather than cooking at home because I'm trying to save time. Those foundational things that really build you up can be time consuming or can feel time consuming, or, oh, whatever, I'm good. I'll just keep going. I'll just try harder. I'll just remember. Or we buy and try all these different things. Oh, I should use a timer. Oh, I should use this tracking app. That's not always the case. And we can get frustrated. And I'll say that's actually a big part of why I think my strengths as an educator and my teacher's heart help my clients so much, is because there is no one right system. There is no one right way to do things. So much of it is what is your brain, your personality, what works for you. Some people want color-coded, beautiful, gorgeous bullet journals. Other people, they don't want to do that. That's too, they'd rather do something that's more technology based, or they think that that's too time consuming, or, too fussy. There's not a right way or a wrong way. So, I think systems are for everyone, and they are. I joke because I understand they're not the sexy thing. I think of like when you watch like like a HGTV show, and they do the big reveal. It's the marble countertops. It's the theater room. People don't come in and say, "Ooh, is this a new HVAC system?" Or, "Oh, wow, this floor is so level," right? Those foundational pieces get overlooked, but they're really what allows you to soar. So whether it is sometimes for a business, but it also could be for anybody. If you're a parent, employee, you're a student, you're a caregiver, we're balancing, wearing all the hats, spinning all the plates, and you can create systems that help make that easier. So, that's what I think. Sometimes when people think systems, maybe they think more of like a tech-based, like DevOps. That's not what I'm talking about. When I use the word system, it's the idea of like a template, like a checklist, and building that habit. So that way something comes so naturally. Actually, during our commercial break, I complimented Erica just how natural she is about introducing the show and throwing to a commercial. And that was, I was kind of starstruck. And she shrugged and she's like, well, if you do it enough times, it becomes just so natural. That right there, that's your system, right? Like, I bet you have that little script pretty much just, always in the back of your head, and you can just plug it in when you need, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I think it's important how you say that, because that was a question I was going to ask, is what is a system defined as? And I think that's great, because people sometimes assume, as a solopreneur or a busy working parent or multiple parent, like a multiple child household, where you have to coordinate 4 different kids' calendars in your work calendar, or just your family calendar. It's something as simple as a calendar. That's a system, right? What is that? And I think we overlook, as you said, the foundation. And I mean, I'll make it a nice statement. I've overlooked basic foundations when I started out, because I'm like, oh, I don't really need that. It's just me. And then I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done this from the beginning, because it does. It's that less chaos. It takes some of the overwhelming things when you just implement that foundational piece.
Absolutely. And I'm all about keeping costs low and staying scrappy. I'm never going to be that person who says, "Oh, you need that top tier, that expensive thing." But there are times where investing kind of, with our, our smart kind of judicious brain on, saves you time. So, that can be the problem, right? When we're first starting out and it's a side hustle, or we're trying to step out on our own, and everything's in a Google Doc. And that's great until that starts to get so big. And then you get overwhelmed with, if I were to use a real CRM, I've got to move all that data. It's going to be such a huge migration. It's going to take so much time. And the longer we wait, the bigger and the harder that gets. Whereas if you kind of started with your smart system from the beginning, that would be saving you overall. And so I think it's that. I think it can be, it's chore charts, it's meal planning, some sort of, email management. And one of my favorites is, I have a girlfriend who has a Monday dress. And there's a million things going on. And I'm sure you're like me, you've heard people talk about that there are some people who have a uniform. They wear, like Anna Wintour wears black slacks and a white silk top every day to reduce her decision fatigue. Most of us don't want to be in a uniform, but for my friend, with the craziness of Sunday night, ending the weekend, starting the week, packing her gym bag, making sure lunches are packed, meal planning, she just knows it takes zero brain power. There's a dress she wears every Monday, and she's got it in black and she's got it in navy. And sometimes she has a scarf or a cardigan or different jewelry, boots versus heels. but the core of that outfit is this dress. And as silly as that is, to have one last thing on a Monday morning is really smart, and it has saved her, let's say it's 15, 20 minutes every single Monday. That compounds, that adds up, and it's one less thing to be worried about. So when you're
Are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm gonna start doing that. Like because it's like, oh, what am I gonna wear? Like, and then you're sitting there, oh, I'm not gonna wear that. No, now oh, now it's this. Oh, no, but when having that base, and again, it's like you said, it's the foundation. The dress is the foundation. You can add to it. Is it cold? Oh, maybe I can do, open-toed shoes because it's August versus boots because it's December. But it saves you time, and it saves the chaos of what am I gonna do?
right? Or you've planned an outfit in your head, and then that morning you put it on and it doesn't look right, or you forgot it had a stain, or something.
Yeah.
Whereas that's just set it and forget it and ready to roll for her. Or something silly like, well, I haven't shaved my legs, I can't wear a dress today, that kind of thing. It just throws all that out the window. So that's the kind of thing that I think I'm sure people do it. The concept of meal planning or budgeting or creating a central calendar isn't new. But I think sometimes we start those and then life happens and we get away from it. And it's, oh, we're gonna do it, and really, if you build those foundations out, then when it gets busy, when life starts lifing and things go sideways, lean into those harder. That's that foundation that makes it easier, that then does free up your mental energy for whatever, bump comes through the road.
I love that. That is, I mean, and it's so simple. And I say this, and I don't mean it just, oh, it's simple. It is so simple, but it's things that we don't think about all the time. And when we can try to start that foundation, but then continue with it. So that would be one of the tips I would like you to give to our listeners is it's sometimes easy to start it, but how do we keep going with it?
Well, I would say when it's the easy times, it's it's like a muscle, like you build it. And so when things, if you have that freedom, maybe, it's summer, so you don't have school that you're up against. It might be easier to kind of build the habits of, well, this is our Sunday nights, or this is what we do. The other thing I'd say is, it's building an SOP just like you do in a business. If something takes 3 steps or more, document it. Especially if it's not something you do all the time, but like the next time you have to go online to book your pet at the kennel, or the next time or it's a report you have to run, but you only do it quarterly, or how to log in to check your kids' grades, document it. And that way you have those little checklists, and that way you're not spending time and you're not spinning your wheels. It seems simple, but anything that's 3 steps or more, simple, easy little documentations, save you a lot of time and stress.
Especially later. It might take a little time up front, but
Yes.
do it up front. It will save you a lot of time in the future. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about smart systems for entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurially minded. But before we go, Pam, tell folks how they can connect with you and learn more about what you have to offer.
Certainly. I'd love to connect on Instagram. I'm Pamela King Consulting, or at LinkedIn. I believe the link's in the show notes. And my gift to everyone, I love helping find those sneaky time thieves. I have a free download of a 5-day time audit, which you can choose to then use to review how you actually spent your days, and you can analyze that on your own. Or I'd love to give a complimentary 30-minute review looking at that together, so we can see where your time is, sneaking away, and brainstorm some better ways, so that way you really free up your time for what really matters.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Listeners, definitely check out the links in the show details, and you can get that free time audit or the 30-minute consultation. Just reach out to Pamela. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Pamela King. During the last few segments, we've been talking finding what you're meant to do, even if it's a non-traditional path, how systems are for everyone, and they really are. And during this segment, we want to get a little bit more into detail about smart systems for entrepreneurs. So Pam, let's just jump right in, because I think this is going to be your, a little bit of your bailiwick. You're going to definitely want to give some great feedback and great ideas to our listeners.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, that's what's been so fun. That's what my business is. I call myself a small business optimizer. And what I do is I come in on the operation side of things in a short-term contract, which I think is important. So often people assume that because I help that I'm a virtual assistant or possibly an online business manager. That's not what I do. My mom calls me Mary Poppins. The idea is I come in for a few months, help create some systems, some frameworks, things that are customized to you and your business and your personal brain. And then when that's done, I move on to another client. Usually we stay in contact for, small check-ins here or there, but working with me typically is like 6 to 8 months, and then you have what you need to either stay a solopreneur and take it and keep running with it, or possibly have the systems in place for if you're going to have an assistant or sub agents or any other employees. So I really think if you are running a business, or even if it's a side hustle, systems are your secret weapon. Usually, entrepreneurs spend so much time focused on what they do for their clients, those billable hours, that client work, and that's great. But you also have to work on your personal business, right? That, working in your business versus on your business. So, otherwise people are, they're chasing down invoices. They're not sure, hey, did I send you this? Have you gotten back to me on this? Did they send me, the logos or colors or whatever they need for their client work? When you have things in place and it's repeatable and it's documented, that's when things can move smoothly. That's when you can free up that mental capacity so you can stay in your zone of genius and do the activities that are really high value, that really need you. So what I really love to do is, when I say systems, what we're going to look at is what can we automate? What can we systematize, like kind of make it a checklist, make it just so obvious that it happens on autopilot, and what can be successfully delegated? So often people say, well, I'm not comfortable giving that up because it wouldn't be done to my standards, or only I can do these certain tasks, or this business is my baby, you want to hold on to all the pieces, which make a lot of sense. I don't know about you. Sometimes I've heard the story where people have hired a VA, but it didn't work out. It could be that it's a personality clash, but more often than not, it's that if you don't give that person the templates, if you don't give them work samples, if you don't give them clear instructions, they're not going to be able to perform to the level of your expectation. And then if you feel you have to double check everything, or you say, don't send that till I've looked it over, you're not really saving yourself. And that's where that you can become resentful and frustrated. And that's often when those relationships kind of fall apart. So if you have,
But I like that, because I get the not wanting to let go. Like, I'm a control freak, and sometimes it's hard to let go. I'm getting better, so but it's also, yes, you might want to do it in the beginning to be like, okay, let me just see how this person's working out, right? Because that's just normal standard. Or did I not communicate something? You can't always assume it's the other person, right? Did I not communicate that right? Or because I know I got lots in my head and I have an idea, I can't always articulate it the right way. So did you, meaning the person, the solopreneur, really say what you wanted, or did you not? So I think you need to make sure that it's not always the other person. But I love that, because if you're not saving any time, because time is money, right? If you're not saving any additional time, you will feel that way. But you have to, I think, make sure that you're the one who is stepping back, being honest with yourself, have a little self-awareness to say, did I really communicate this well? Did I not give them the tools to be successful? Or am I just being a control freak and I can't let go? And then you have to figure that out.
I think so, absolutely. And when you said the tools to set them up for success, it's not just conversations. Oftentimes, it might be a work sample. It might be, here's the template we use, or we can document. And you can create a video. Like if you're giving somebody instructions, hop on a Zoom and record it. If it's, here's how we add somebody to the database, and that way they have that video. And it doesn't have to, I think that's the problem is people think it has to be beautiful and really clean and really edited. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But if you
Right.
even just have that video, and that way, if that assistant goes, uh-oh, what's the next step? What do I do? And they get scared. They're like, oh, she's gonna be so mad if I ask her this again. Or they try and figure it out on their own. I've seen that where somebody says, I spent 3 hours in that database and I couldn't figure it out. You're like, you spent 3 hours on this? Like that's not how I expected the morning was gonna go. If you have those documentations, whether it's a written checklist, expectations,
Yeah.
little videos, all of that, and then you can feel more comfortable because it's not just saying change your mindset. It is easier to change your mindset when you know the person really truly has the tools. They know what I expect it to look like, what done looks like, how I prefer to be communicated with. And when those things are set, then you can really feel comfortable letting that person do the work and knowing that it will be done to your standards and your level of done.
And I think that's goes back to what you said earlier in the second segment, is that if something takes more than three steps, document it. And I find, I was thinking after we spoke about that, I'm like, it's like what light, I have a light switch in that the dog sitter always asks me, which one is the internet? Because there's one that's for the outside, and for some reason, and I have never changed this, there's a plug, it's a switch that the internet's plugged into. And
Oh,
so they like the router, I say the internet. See, this is why I'm not a systems person. I need somebody to help me with that. But I have it plugged in and it happens to be a switch. And I always say, oh, I don't remember, because I don't unless I'm there. I walk out to the door to flip the switch on to let the dog out. And I'm like, which one is that? I don't remember. And then I finally was like, okay, it's the right one. But if the internet goes out, then I was wrong. And she started laughing. And so when I got home, there's a piece of tape on it that says light switch.
yes, yes.
And I started laughing. I'm like, well, why didn't I do that years ago? But it is like, okay. And it's, yes, not an SOP, but it's the same thing. Like when you aren't there, my son, when he went off to the boot camp, he literally wrote instructions down for me on how to turn on the TV, turn on the Xbox so I could watch a movie, because I couldn't figure out how to do it. And he's like, okay, I wrote these down and we're going to walk through them. And I kept it laminated to the table until he got back. And he goes, you had to look at him how many times? I go, every time I did it. Because I didn't do it much, but thank God he did. Otherwise it'd be 3 months that I couldn't have watched any movies, because I wouldn't have known how to do it.
Absolutely. And that's a great because it's not something you did every day. If you had to do that process 5 times a day, you would have learned it. Obviously you're a smart, capable person, but it's those little things that we just do every once in a while or quarterly, or, and when we say like, oh, how do I do that again? Or I know it's this and I can get this far. And then you're spending time and sometimes you make it worse rather than better. And so it is. That is my, I would say 3 steps. That's kind of the magic number. But once it's 3 steps or more, it is absolutely worth documenting. And, maybe that's using a system like ClickUp or Asana or something as well. I personally don't have any allegiance to any of those. Again, it's what matters to you, your brain, your learning style. And that's something I really love helping clients with, is using that sort of teacher heart to align those 2 things.
Well, and like you said, if you're a solopreneur, it's all in your brain. I mean, what happens if you're gone, you're not available, and you need assistance? So I know you had a saying, and I can't remember it exactly, but it was something like you're running your business. If you're running your business from your brain, it was.
I mean, I think it's important to run your business like a business is
Yes,
is a big part of it, is that because you're right. We're like, I got it all up here. And
but
that's great until it's not.
well, yeah, you said something like it's time to build your backup, right? And I think it is, right? We all should be backing up our computers. So if our business is in our brain, then we better back up that brain. And it's a good way to do it when you have those scalable solutions. And whatever works for you at the time, it is definitely going to be important. But um, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to finish out the show with permission to do things differently. This is Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, go to getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips and special events and pricing for upcoming coaching sessions at getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Pamela King. Pamela, thank you so much for being on the show today.
I've enjoyed it so much. It's going so quickly. I can't believe this is our last segment.
I know. Tell folks how they can connect with you and learn more about what you have to offer, and also a little bit of a treat that you have for our listeners.
Certainly. So I'm on Instagram at Pamela King Consulting. I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I spend the majority of my time. And I have an offer. I love productivity and making sure that we're using our time well, or that it's serving us in the ways we want it to. So I have a free 5-day time audit that your guests are, follow the link to download. They can use that to track their time for 5 days. And if they want, they can then analyze that on their own and find those sneaky time thieves. Or if they'd like, I'd love to, offer them a complimentary 30-minute call where we can look at it together, sort of brainstorm and analyze and see if their time's really going where they want it to. Because I think most of us have those days where we're like, where did the day go? Or I had all morning to work on this. How is this still not done? So love fixing those up.
Yes. So definitely, you can, again, listen to the replay to get those information, but it also is on the show, in the show notes and show links. So please go out there and take advantage of it, because I think you'd be surprised at what you find out. So we've talked about getting to a path, even though it might be like a non-traditional, right? Knowing where you're meant to go, even if it's not the same route everybody else takes, which is completely fine. How systems really are for everyone, some smart systems for the entrepreneurs. And during this last segment, we're going to talk about permission to do things differently. Because wouldn't the world be so boring if everybody was the same? If we did everything the same, we'd be kind of living in one of those black and white worlds. What was that show? Pleasantville, that everything in black and white. And then once somebody started doing something a little bit differently, it just popped with color and excitement. And I feel like that's how we should all live our life. We don't want to be drab, black and white and boring. We want to have that color in our life. So how do we go about forgetting that we don't have to do things the same?
Absolutely. Well, I think, that is especially, I'm an eldest daughter. I'm sure that's shocking, especially because, but, that we, for so long, there are these kind of expectations, and this is the right way to live and the right way to do things. I'm a typical millennial woman. 54% of us have never married, never had kids. So like, if you're not following that checklist, what does your life look like? So, for me, it really was following that inner knowing and listening to those little whispers and stepping outside of I was a public school educator for 15 years, and that was what my degree was in. And, I was at a fabulous school district. Most people retire from there with 35 years of service. But it's okay to say, hey, I don't think it's this. I think it's this other thing. And I, kind of had to follow that path, because it wasn't like I woke up one day and I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to build the operation side for businesses. No, that again was from trial and error and listening and attempting different things and saying yes when there's an opportunity, listening to that inner knowing. And more and more when I'm like, I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to do this. Booking a solo female tour so I can meet amazing other women like you. Again, that was not something anybody expected. All my friends thought I was crazy. I was like, do you want to do this with me? And nobody said yes. And I was like, that's fine. I'm going to book that trip by myself, which of course was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So you just have to listen and try those different things. And I will say, we're friends, but I'm also such a fan of yours. You've done that you have listened and tried and blazed your own trail, and your life probably does not look at all how you thought it would when you were 20.
Oh my goodness, no. And that's like I said, I hope I'm not the same person as I was then. And not that I was a horrible person. I'm just saying I hope I've grown. I hope I was probably much more selfish at 20 than I am now. But I think it's also, I know we've titled this as permission to do things differently, but ladies and gentlemen, no, don't let anybody tell you what to do. You need to find your way forward and carve your own path that serves you. And I'm not talking about being selfish, because if you aren't honoring your peace, what you feel success is, what you feel fulfillment is, then you're not honoring yourself, and you're not going to be able to give to others. And so it's like that saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. But if you don't feel fulfilled, you don't feel joy, you don't feel excitement in your life, you're not going to be probably a happy person, and therefore you're not going to be giving out that happy vibe, right? So I think some days it may mean that you're leaping into something and being bold and being brave, and some days it might mean that you're slowing down, and that's okay to do it your way. And I also think it doesn't necessarily mean that you're always on the go 24/7, right? I think some people feel like being busy all the time is productive, and I don't know that that's always true.
Absolutely not. I know we get kind of in that hustle mindset, that rise and grind, but that's not, and that's what I love is the systems, the templates, the checklist that we set up give you space to breathe, where things take less time, where you can do it on autopilot, or you can delegate it to somebody else so that you don't have to do all of it, or that your business can keep running even if you're out for the day. So whether that's taking a trip, or, you're just, you want to take a day for your health. And same thing, I think that's also why entrepreneurship is so exciting right now. So many people are feeling drawn to it because you can design your own business your own way. And maybe that's making your hours. Maybe that's working more in certain seasons and then taking less clients or no clients in other times. Maybe that's, some people, we see the Instagram of people laying on the beach at Bali, and that's what they want their business to look like. Other people like to have the flexibility that they're working from the car dealership lounge, that you didn't have to take the day off. But you can work remotely while your car's getting work done. All of that, there's no one right way. And that's what I really love to do, is use the majority of the time that I was teaching, I was the regular ed teacher in an inclusion classroom, meaning that I worked with a variety of diverse learners, all sorts of levels of ability, understanding, and learning styles. And it wasn't, you conform to me. That's an old school mentality. It's, I help you break this down and we figure out what makes the most sense for you. I love bringing that then to my clients. And I think that's what part of this too, is you're allowed to do it different. I'm not selling the Pamela King 5-step system. It's, I come in and I say, if you were going to look for this, what would you search? What should we name this? It's not what I tell you it should be named. It's not what I tell you it has to be. You have to use this color-coded system. Not necessarily, unless that works for you. And so leaning into that is where you really will find something that is sustainable. It's not that you're bad at organization or you're not disciplined, but it's because you're trying to make yourself fit one expected way. And that just doesn't have to be the case. You can run your business how you want to. And then that's really when you're going to see the needle move, and you're going to be happier and more fulfilled and be able to then have that work-life balance and the time for the things that light you up.
And I think you said something that was really key there is, it's what works for you. And it made me think of SMART goals, right? And if you've ever been in business, you know the SMART goals, right? The specific, measurable, attainable, time bound. What am I just missed one. Realistic. I can't remember now. I just drew a complete blank, but I always did a twist on the SMART goals. I said it had to be special. I said it had to be memorable. I said it needed to be authentic. It needed to be rewarding, and it needed to be true to me. Because if I was going to make a goal and it didn't have those 5 things, I wouldn't want to go after it. It was a goal that somebody else put for me. And so if it was a true goal of mine, it had to have those 5 things on top of having my, specific, measurable, attainable, those sort of things, because otherwise you're not going to do it. It's like if somebody tells you got to lose 10 pounds and you're really not into it, you're not going to do it. So make sure that it's something that you don't have to live the same way as everybody else. You don't have to do it the same way as everybody else. And if you try to do it the way somebody else does it, you could actually not be successful, because it's not the way you would have done it. It's not authentic. It's not something that's going to stick with you, and you're not going to stick with it.
Absolutely. And it's demotivating at that point, because you're like, I'm never going to be able to do it. This is pointless. Why even try? Or I've already, mathematically, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get there.
Well, I want to thank you again, Pam, for being on the show today. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to hear about all how you're doing. And of course, see you in our next adventure.
Absolutely. Me too. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to your audience. And, I'd be happy to, meet with them, connect with them, and to help any of them with that time audit if they'd like to take me up on my offer.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any part of today's episode or want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific right here on Transformation Talk Radio. One last personal message, as this is September and we are getting into Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. If you are hurting or need help, please know the world needs you, and it is a better place with you in it. Don't let the hard days win. Reach out for assistance. Excuse me. Call or text or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to reach a trained crisis counselor through the crisis text line. Thank you for tuning in. Have an amazing day. Know that you are loved, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit getrootedradio.com if you have missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on transformationtalkradio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.